Maya's fingers trembled slightly as she adjusted the transmission settings. 3 days of cryptic messages and distant observations had left Earth's first contact team exhausted and confused. "Ambassador Xelar, please reconsider our invitation," she said, watching the crystalline being's facets shimmer with what she was beginning to recognize as anxiety. "We've prepared appropriate accommodations based on your atmospheric specifications." The alien's translator produced a sound like wind through chimes before converting to English. "Lieutenant Commander Rice, your hospitality is appreciated but impossible to accept. The containment risk exceeds acceptable parameters." Colonel Wei leaned into the camera frame, his weathered face tightening with frustration. "What exactly are you containing, Ambassador? Earth has disclosed all pathogens in our biosphere. Our medical team has created sterilization protocols exceeding galactic standards." The 17 alien vessels remained in perfect formation, maintaining exactly 238,900 kilometers from Earth's surface, just beyond the lunar orbit. Their hulls reflected sunlight in patterns that seemed deliberately designed to be visible from Earth's surface, creating a nightly spectacle that had drawn millions of humans outdoors to gaze skyward. "Your disclosed information is incomplete," Xelar replied, pausing as though selecting words carefully. "Not through deception, but ignorance." Dr. Elijah Kim, silent until now, stepped forward. "Ambassador, our species has explored microbiology for centuries. What biological factor could we possibly be ignorant about?" The transmission flickered as Xelar consulted with a gelatinous entity floating beside them. Maya noticed how the other alien maintained triple the distance from Xelar that would be normal in human interaction. Even aliens kept space between themselves. "Dr. Kim, consider this question. How many beings exist on your planet?" "Approximately 9 billion humans, plus several billion domestic animals, trillions of wild creatures." "No," Xelar interrupted, facets pulsing rapidly. "How many beings exist in this room where you stand now?" The question silenced the Earth team. Maya glanced around the sterile communication chamber, counting 5 human officials. 5, Colonel Wei answered firmly. A sound emerged from the alien transmission, something that the translation software identified as laughter, though it resembled grinding glass. "Your response confirms our caution," Xelar said. "Where you perceive 5 entities, we detect countless billions. Your bodies teem with passengers, invisible armies that accompany you everywhere." Maya's eyes widened as understanding dawned. "You mean our microbiome? The bacteria that live within us. You name them as separate," Xelar noted, "yet you carry them as part of yourself. This symbiosis is unknown elsewhere in the galaxy. It is why we cannot approach without protection. The silent passengers you carry must never board our vessels." The transmission abruptly terminated, leaving the team staring at the empty screen. Outside the window, the alien fleet shifted formation slightly, their lights pulsing in patterns that somehow conveyed both wonder and terror. "They're afraid of our gut bacteria?" Colonel Wei asked incredulously. Maya shook her head slowly, the implications unfolding in her mind. "Not just afraid, terrified. And I think we need to understand why before we make another move." Maya watched through the transparent barrier as medical teams in sealed environment suits rushed the fallen delegate away. The alien skin had already developed angry purple lesions where the champagne droplets had made contact. "It was just alcohol and carbon dioxide," Maya whispered, pressing her palm against the polymer wall. "How could that possibly?" "Not the champagne," Elijah interrupted, his eyes fixed on the microscanner he'd smuggled into the diplomatic reception. "The glass. Your lips touched it, leaving behind skin cells, saliva, microbes." The quarantine chamber hummed as additional sterilization protocols activated. Outside, the grand atrium emptied rapidly as delegates retreated behind sealed doors, leaving only security personnel in reinforced protective gear. "We've been invited here as dignitaries, but they're treating us like a contamination threat," Maya said, pacing the limited space of their confinement bubble. A soft chime announced an incoming communication. The holographic display flickered to life, showing the High Mediator of the Alliance, a towering, serpentine being whose translucent skin revealed pulsing organs within. Human representatives, the Mediator began, voice modulated through multiple translation filters. We deeply regret this unfortunate incident. Ambassador Luxol will recover, though the exposure was significant. Colonel Wei stepped forward. High Mediator, we demand an explanation. What exactly happened to your ambassador? The alien's internal organs shifted color, a physiological response that the translation software flagged as indicating distress. Your microbiome made contact with Ambassador Luxol's dermis. Without proper evolutionary defenses against microbial life, the contamination spreads rapidly through their system. Elijah's fingers flew across his scanner, recording the conversation. But surely your species has encountered bacteria before. Microbial life must exist throughout the galaxy. Not as you understand it, the Mediator replied. What Earth calls bacteria evolved in unique isolation on your world. Most habitable planets developed chemical defenses against such organisms early in their evolutionary history. Only Earth allowed them to thrive and develop complex relationships with larger organisms. Maya caught a momentary glimpse of movement in the ventilation shaft above the chamber, a maintenance worker quickly retreating from view. The fungoid being's eyes had met hers briefly, with an expression that seemed almost curious rather than fearful. How do you propose we conduct diplomacy when you're terrified of our very existence? Colonel Wei demanded. The Mediator's body coiled tighter. The Council is debating that very question. Some advocate for terminating contact entirely. That's not an option, Maya interjected. We've already announced your presence to our population. Billions of humans are watching this historic meeting. Then containment must be absolute, the Mediator stated firmly. You will remain in this chamber until we devise more permanent protocols. Be grateful. Many council members suggested more terminal solutions to the biological threat you represent. As the transmission ended, Elijah moved close to Maya, speaking barely above a whisper. Did you notice, when they mentioned terminal solutions, their bio ratings spiked? They're seriously considering eliminating us. Maya nodded slightly, her eyes drawn again to the ventilation shaft where the fungoid worker had appeared. We need allies here, and fast. I think I just spotted one who might not share the general panic about humans. How can you tell? Elijah asked. Because, Maya replied, that maintenance worker wasn't wearing protective gear. Maya leaned forward as the holographic images shimmered before her, depicting scenes from a forgotten chapter of galactic history. The ancient Telosian vessel, its hull designed like overlapping petals, hovered above a primitive Earth settlement. The timestamp indicated this encounter had occurred nearly 15,000 years ago. How did you access these records? She whispered to Zith, whose fungal body rippled with an emotion the translation software couldn't interpret. The maintenance networks contain backup archives, Zith replied, tendrils weaving complex patterns in the air. The Council restricts these files, but they forgot that my species built the station's memory cores. The hologram shifted to show the Telosian explorers making contact with early human settlements along a river valley. Unlike modern aliens, these visitors wore no protective gear as they shared food and knowledge with the humans. They had no idea what they were exposing themselves to, Elijah murmured, adjusting his scanner to record the forbidden footage. The next sequence made Maya's stomach tighten. The Telosians began to change, their iridescent skin developing patches of discoloration, internal organs visible through increasingly transparent flesh. The deterioration progressed with horrifying speed. This is what they call the Great Withering, Zith explained. The dominant historical narrative claims that humans deliberately infected the Telosians with biological agents. That's absurd, Elijah protested. Human civilization then wouldn't have understood microbiology, let alone how to weaponize it. The hologram showed the Telosian ship departing Earth in haste, leaving behind gifts of technology that archaeologists had long misidentified as religious artifacts. The final images tracked the ship's return to Telosian space, where containment protocols failed catastrophically. An entire world's ecosystem began to change as Earth's microbes found new hosts. The Telosians didn't all die, Zith said, surprising both humans. Their biology adapted, painfully, chaotically, but they survived. Their descendants became something new. Why would the Council hide this? Maya asked. Because the adapted Telosians thrived, Zith replied, tendrils curling with what seemed like satisfaction. Their post-contamination civilization developed immunities that made them stronger. The Council fears this knowledge would lead other species to risk exposure. Maya's neural implant chimed with an urgent alert from Earth Command. She projected the message onto the laboratory wall. Diplomatic Chanelis TERNINATED. Alien Fleet Movement THTKTE. Return to Earth M88 Heloi. They know we've discovered the truth, Elijah said, quickly backing up the historical data. Zith's body contracted anxiously. There's more you need to understand. My species, we're the descendants of the transformed Telosians. The revelation stunned Maya into silence. She studied Zith's fungal form, trying to reconcile it with the crystalline beings from the historical footage. Earth's microbes didn't just change us, Zith continued. They became us. Our ancestors' bodies merged with your microbial life, creating a hybridized biology. That's why I can tolerate your presence without protection. Outside the laboratory windows, alarm lights pulsed across New Singapore's skyline as defense systems activated. The distant flash of approaching spacecraft broke through the cloud cover. We're out of time, Maya said, grabbing the data core. Zith, you need to come with us. You're evidence that coexistence isn't just possible, it's beneficial. Zith's body rippled in what the humans now recognize as determination. Yes, and there are others who suspect what I know. The Council's fear has controlled galactic policy for too long. The laboratory wall displayed the comparative genetic analyses, streams of data flowing alongside microscopic imagery of both human and alien cellular structures. Zith's tissue sample, safely contained in a quantum isolation field, appeared eerily pristine compared to the bustling ecosystem of human cells. Earth biology is fundamentally collaborative, Elijah explained to the assembled team of scientists and military personnel. Our evolution took a radically different path from the rest of the galactic community. Colonel Wei studied the displays with narrowed eyes. And you're saying this is why they fear us? Because we carry bacteria. Not just bacteria, Maya corrected, gesturing toward the holographic representation of a human digestive tract. Viruses, fungi, archaea, trillions of microorganisms that have co-evolved with us for billions of years. We're not just individuals, we're ecosystems. Zith's body undulated as they observed the display. In our developmental history, such organisms were eliminated early in planetary evolution. Our biochemistry developed complex mechanisms that prevent microscopic life from gaining any foothold. Dr. Lakshmi Patel, Earth's leading microbiologist, manipulated the display to highlight a section of human gut bacteria. That's the fascinating part. These microbial partners aren't just passengers, they're essential collaborators. They help us digest food, regulate our immune systems, even influence our brain chemistry. What's routine biology to us represents existential horror to them, Elijah added. Their bodies have no defense against microbial colonization because they never needed to develop one. Maya watched as Zith extended a tendril toward the hologram, studying the colorful representation of human microbiota with something akin to reverence. Your ancestors, Maya said quietly to Zith, they didn't just survive exposure to Earth microbes. They integrated with them, correct? Yes, Zith confirmed. The process was catastrophic initially, but ultimately transformative. The symbiosis created our current form. We gained abilities no pure Telosian ever possessed. Colonel Wei's communication device chimed urgently. His expression darkened as he read the incoming message. The Council fleet has established orbit. They're demanding we surrender all research related to microbial studies and turn over our alien collaborator. That would be you, Zith. They're terrified of what we've discovered, Zith said, body contracting anxiously. If other species learn that controlled exposure could benefit them rather than destroy them, the Council's authority would collapse. Dr. Patel's fingers moved rapidly across her interface. We need more time. I believe we could engineer controlled microbial packages, specialized symbiotic communities designed for specific alien physiologies. Time is something we don't have, Colonel Wei replied grimly. Defense systems report weapons charging on multiple vessels. Maya stared at the microscopic imagery, an idea forming. What if we show them what they're missing? Not just tell them, but demonstrate the benefits that microbiomes could offer their species. How? Elijah asked. They won't even enter the same room with us without protective gear. Maya turned to Zith. We have living proof that coexistence isn't just possible, but advantageous. Zith's people thrived after adaptation. Zith's surface rippled with bioluminescent patterns, their equivalent of determination. I will testify to my people's transformation. But the Council controls all broadcast channels. How would we reach the broader galactic community? Maya's smile held a glint of defiance. The same way humans have always spread ideas when authorities try to suppress them. We make it go viral. The emergency broadcast reached every corner of Helios Prime as panic spread through the crystalline metropolis. Maya watched the alien news feeds through her neural interface, monitoring the escalating crisis. 3 distinct species had now reported infections, their bodies manifesting symptoms unfamiliar to galactic medicine. They're calling it the human plague, Elijah said, analyzing the intercepted communications. But these symptoms don't match any known human pathogen. Dr. Patel looked up from her workstation, where microbial samples glowed in containment fields. That's because it's not a human disease. These species are reacting to completely benign microorganisms. Their bodies have no framework for coexistence. Outside the reinforced embassy walls, the sounds of protests grew louder. Holographic displays throughout the city broadcast images of Earth with biohazard warnings superimposed over them. Military vessels had moved into lower orbit, their weapons systems clearly visible to create maximum psychological impact. Ambassador Chen is being held in isolation, Colonel Wei reported, his face grim on the secure channel. The Council is voting on whether to quarantine Earth permanently or take more drastic measures. Maya turned to Zith, who was interfacing with the embassy's communication array. How much longer until you can access the independent channels? Minutes only, Zith replied. Fungal appendages working across multiple interfaces simultaneously. But the transmission window will be brief before security protocols detect the intrusion. Elijah joined them, carrying a secure data crystal. The presentation is ready. We've compiled evidence from Zith's biology alongside historical records of the Telosian transformation. Dr. Patel has added simplified explanations of how controlled microbial exposure could benefit multiple species. A violent impact shook the embassy as something struck the outer shields. Security feeds showed protesters hurling objects at the building, while military guards made no effort to stop them. We're out of time, Maya said, activating the emergency protocols. Colonel, is the shuttle ready? Prepped and waiting in the subterranean bay, Wei confirmed. But breaking through the blockade will be nearly impossible without triggering a direct military response. Zith's body pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, a sign of excitement or anxiety. Maya couldn't tell which. Connection established. Broadcasting now on all independent frequencies. The data stream initiated, bypassing Council sensors and reaching millions of communication nodes across the galactic network. Maya watched as the carefully prepared presentation began with Zith's personal testimony, a living demonstration that human microbial life could be integrated successfully. Transmission at 60%, Zith reported as warning alarms blared throughout the embassy. Security protocols are attempting to block the signal. The building shuddered again as military-grade weapons struck the outer defenses. The shields wouldn't hold much longer. "We need to move," Colonel Wei urged. "Now." As they rushed toward the evacuation point, the embassy's main communication screen activated unexpectedly. The face that appeared belonged to an elderly alien of a species Maya didn't recognize. Withered features surrounded by a glowing corona of energy. "Human representatives," the being said, its voice carrying unusual authority. "I am Elder Exor of the Telosian Remnant. Your broadcast has reached our hidden enclaves. After 15 millennia, we stand ready to reveal ourselves and confirm your claims." Maya exchanged stunned glances with her team as the implications became clear. They weren't alone in their fight anymore. "The Council has hidden the truth for generations," Elder Exor continued. "We are living proof that evolution can embrace your microbial gifts, and we are not the only ones." The laboratory aboard the Telosian sanctuary ship hummed with activity as Dr. Patel worked alongside alien scientists, their diverse physiologies united in common purpose. Behind reinforced containment fields, carefully engineered microbial colonies glowed with subtle bioluminescence, each designed for a specific alien biology. "The key is gradual introduction," Dr. Patel explained to the gathered representatives from 7 different species. "These aren't wild human microlambs. Each package contains specifically selected organisms with beneficial properties tailored to your physiology." Maya watched from the observation deck, still processing the revelation that multiple transformed species had existed in hiding throughout the galaxy. The Telosian Remnant had maintained secret enclaves for millennia, along with several other species who had undergone similar transformations after Earth contact. "How many others are there?" she asked Elder Exor, whose energy corona pulsed gently in the ship's specialized atmosphere. 17 known transformed species, the Elder replied. "All living in isolation, all benefiting from the integration with Earth microbial life, all fearing discovery and persecution by the Council." Below, Sith's body had been partially separated into research samples, a process that didn't harm their fungal physiology, but allowed for detailed analysis of their successful symbiosis. "Your people have suffered needlessly," Maya said. "If the Council had allowed this research thousands of years ago." "Fear is a powerful motivator," Elder Exor interrupted. "The initial transformation process was traumatic. Those who survived became something new, something that challenged the very definition of species identity in Council taxonomy." The laboratory doors slid open as Elijah entered with Colonel Wei and a delegation of aliens Maya didn't recognize, their bodies encased in environmental suits despite being aboard a ship designed for transformed species. "Council representatives," Elder Exor acknowledged, corona dimming slightly. "You honor us with your presence." The tallest delegate stepped forward, helmet remaining firmly sealed. "This unauthorized research violates multiple galactic conventions. We demand immediate cessation." "With respect," Dr. Patel responded, not looking up from her work, "your conventions are based on fear and misunderstanding, not science. The microbial packages we're developing could revolutionize medicine throughout the galaxy." "Revolution is precisely what we fear," the Council representative stated. "The stability of our alliance depends on biological boundaries that your species casually dismisses." Maya moved to stand beside Dr. Patel, facing the delegation directly. "Those boundaries have already been crossed. The transformed species have thrived for millennia. Would you rather continue living in fear of what makes us different, or explore what we might become together?" The lead delegate's posture changed subtly. "Show me." Dr. Patel gestured toward a sealed chamber where a holographic display showcased the genetic advantages gained by transformed species, enhanced metabolic efficiency, improved environmental adaptation, extended lifespans. "These benefits came at great cost during uncontrolled exposure," she explained. "Our engineered packages provide the advantages without the suffering." The Council representative studied the data in silence before turning to Sith. "You volunteered for the original procedure. Why? Zith's body formed a communication appendage. Because stagnation is its own form of extinction. The Council's fear has limited our potential for too long. From the observation deck, Maya noticed something unexpected, the lead delegate's hand moving toward the seal of their environmental helmet. Sometimes, the alien said quietly, understanding requires more than observation. Elder Xor's energy corona brightened with surprise. Counselor, are you volunteering as a test subject? Not as a counselor, came the reply as the helmet seal hissed open. As someone who remembers when discovery mattered more than fear, the news spread across subspace channels faster than light itself. Counselor Vix of the Dothri species had successfully integrated with a custom microbial package. Images of the counselor, moving freely without protective gear among humans, transmitted to every corner of the Alliance. The response has exceeded all projections, Elijah reported, analyzing the incoming data streams. Treatment requests have overwhelmed every diplomatic channel. Even species previously hostile to Earth are seeking consultation. Maya watched from the observation deck of the Council's central medical facility as lines of aliens waited for screening, a sight that would have been unimaginable just weeks ago. The facility had been hastily repurposed from a quarantine center to an integration clinic, with Dr. Patel leading a mixed team of human and transformed species scientists. How is Counselor Vix adapting? Maya asked as Zith joined her at the viewport, their fungal body having regained its full mass after the research sampling. Remarkably well, Zith replied. The engineered microbes have already enhanced the counselor's respiratory efficiency by 30%. Their species has always struggled with oxygen processing, a limitation that has kept them from exploring many habitable worlds. Below them, Vix was addressing a group of nervous diplomats, demonstrating various physiological improvements. The counselor's previously dull skin now displayed subtle iridescence, a visible sign of the microbial partnership taking hold. Not everyone is celebrating, Colonel Wei said as he entered, his expression grim. The military faction has withdrawn from council proceedings. Intelligence suggests they're gathering forces in the outer systems. Maya nodded, having anticipated this development. How many species still oppose integration? 8 remain adamantly against it, White replied. Mostly those with hierarchical societies, where the ruling classes fear disruption of the established order. A soft chime announced an incoming transmission. The holographic display activated to show Elder Xor alongside representatives from other transformed species, beings that had remained hidden for millennia now stepping into the light. The ancient archives have been unsealed, Elder Xor announced. We have provided the Council with complete records of our transformation, including the benefits gained and challenges overcome. This knowledge belongs to all species now. Maya felt a surge of hope tempered with caution, and the ruling on Earth's status. The Council vote was just completed, Hexor replied, energy corona pulsing with what Maya had learned to recognize as joy. Earth is formally recognized as a founding member of the new Galactic Scientific Exchange. Your world's unique evolutionary path is now classified as a universal heritage resource. Elijah joined them, excitement evident in his voice. The planetary protection fleet has been recalled. The quarantine has been officially lifted. And what of those who still oppose integration? Colonel Wei asked, ever focused on security concerns. Elder Xor's expression sobered. They have rights to maintain their traditional biology. No species will be forced to accept microbial partners, but they can no longer prevent others from making that choice. The facility's alert system activated as a massive ship entered orbit, one of the ancient Telosian vessels long thought destroyed. Its communication signal broadcast on all frequencies. We bring gifts from the deep archives, announced a voice not heard in council chambers for thousands of years. Evolutionary technologies developed during our transformation that have remained hidden until now. The time for separation has ended. Maya turned to Zith, whose body pulsated with complex patterns of light that needed no translation. This wasn't just a diplomatic breakthrough. It was the beginning of a new chapter in galactic evolution. The greatest discoveries, Zith said quietly, often come from what we fear most. 5 years had transformed the galactic landscape beyond recognition. Maya stood on the observation platform of the newly constructed Symbiosis Institute, watching vessels from dozens of worlds dock at the sprawling space station. What had once been feared as the human curse now drew species from across the galaxy seeking knowledge, adaptation, and partnership. Ambassador Reyes called a melodic voice behind her. Maya turned to see Counselor Vix approaching, their once plain skin now a canvas of vibrant patterns that shifted with their moods, a visible sign of the microbiome that had become part of their biology. "Just Maya, please," she replied with a smile. "I'm not here in an official capacity today." Vix's skin rippled with colors indicating amusement. Old habits persist, even with new biology. The Historical Archives team is ready whenever you are. They walked together through corridors where humans mingled freely with various alien species, many showing visible signs of microbial integration. Some had developed bioluminescent patterns similar to Zith's people, while others displayed more subtle changes, enhanced sensory organs, more efficient respiratory structures, or specialized epidermal adaptations. The central chamber of the archives housed a monument of living crystal that recorded the unfolding story of galactic transformation. Dr. Elijah Kim stood waiting beside Elder Exor, both now co-directors of the Institute's research division. "The final historical records have been verified and integrated," Elijah announced as they approached. "The complete pathway from first contact to present day, with all the mistakes and triumphs documented for future generations." Maya placed her hand on the crystal surface, feeling the subtle vibration as it responded to her touch. The monument displayed scenes from humanity's journey among the stars, from the initial fear they encountered to the revolutionary changes they helped spark. "Did you ever imagine this outcome when they first refused to land on Earth?" she asked Elijah. "Not in my wildest speculations," he admitted. "I expected decades of cautious diplomacy at best, interstellar conflict at worst." Elder Xor's energy corona pulsed gently. "The greatest transformations often come from challenging our deepest fears. My ancestors fled Earth in terror, not understanding that what they experienced was evolution accelerated." A group of young aliens entered the chamber, students from the first integrated education program. Their bodies displayed a fascinating diversity of adaptations, each species incorporating microbial partnerships in unique ways that enhanced their natural strengths. "The military faction still maintains their separation," Vix noted quietly. 8 species continue to resist all forms of microbial integration. "As is their right," Maya replied. "Evolution isn't just about biological change. It's about diversity of approaches. Perhaps they'll find their own path forward." Through the vast viewport, Earth was visible as a distant blue point of light. What had once been an isolated world now stood at the center of a biological renaissance that spanned hundreds of star systems. "The universe's most profound lesson," Elder Exor observed, "was waiting on your small planet all along. Life thrives not through isolation, but through cooperation between the great and the small." As the students gathered around the monument, eagerly absorbing the history of their transformed society, Maya reflected on humanity's unexpected gift to the stars. Earth hadn't conquered the galaxy with technology or might, but with the humble microorganisms that had been our companions since the beginning of life itself. "Sometimes," she said, watching the next generation of this new galactic community, "the most powerful connections are invisible until we have the courage to look for them."